Another episode of TNFro is Reading. Hi, I'm your host, Felicia Baxter. In this episode, I will be celebrating 1,021 unique downloads. Thank you guys for listening. The early voter turnout in Tennessee has been phenomenal, I think. However, we can do better. Whose campaign I contributed to and why I've chosen this day to rant about the 2020 Democratic choices for presidency. We got to dump Trump, but still not sure of who is up to the task. And again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you are as informed as I was as I created this episode. So, as part of my general hustle, I am most excited about what I have to do to continue to create content. And it requires that, number one, I continue to do my day job well, but I also gather up content and support from other sources. For a minute there, I tried Fiverr. That was exciting, but I'm limited by my day job. However, there's certain ways that you can actually publish links, Instagram, Facebook, on your blog, that will allow you to fund your passion project. Writer's Block Coffee is one of those things. Not only will it allow me to benefit from my own purchases, I'm actually my best customer, but it also supports what my intent is for this coffee. Writer's Block Coffee has actually been trademarked, and its mission in the industry is to supply writers with those working inside the publishing industry with finest coffee, provide revenue opportunities like me to publishers and other businesses through coffee products. And it's supporting book marketing efforts with custom label coffee, which I am drinking as we speak. Writer's Block Coffee bridges a gap between the coffee and publishing industry. Coffee shops are great for hosting writing and reading activities, but their services stops at the door. That's where Writer's Block Coffee starts. By offering coffee for every stage of a book's life, from the writing to the marketing, Writer's Block Coffee reimagines the role of coffee as a partner and not an accessory. This experience informs every step of Writer's Block Coffee takes, from the taste of the coffee to the shape of the partnership. And I am a proud publisher of the links for you to enjoy this coffee too. So navigate to writersblockcoffee.com/TNFro is reading to find out about this, as well as the swag, and also enter the TNFro is reading promo code in to get 10% off of your order and shipping. And tell them that Felicia sent you. So welcome back to the rest of the episode. I am getting ready to go just to look and pulling up things to be able to talk about. And one of the things that has really stunned me, and I don't know, it's because what was I expecting? You know what I mean? From people. This podcast itself has started off as a passion project, meaning I have created it as a way to entertain myself. For example, I started it now over a year ago, and now 102 episodes later, I am up to my 1,021 downloads. Actually, just 30 happened yesterday, 184 over the last 7 days, and 465 over the last 30. This is since the beginning of the year when I resolved to get 1,000 downloads. This is one of those markers that podcasters use, and from what I understand, that advertisers don't even really look at you at all if you have less than 1,000 downloads. So I just wanted to see if I could actually get there and how soon would it take me. I wasn't planning on probably breaking that landmark or um, that goal in sooner than maybe the summer. But I noticed after all of my episodes that I published back in December that is when my show started. People started listening to my show. I did the 12 podcast of Christmas, and I noticed that I had at least 10 to 15 downloads per podcast. So it made sense that the more content I actually put out there, the more people would actually listen. And I started using Instagram as well as LinkedIn as a mechanism to get people to listen. And then I did a live podcast on in January that also I think actually got not only my friends actually logged on, but it also I had several other new listens based on people I had never spoke to before. And then I also started noticing that who where were the people, the source of the people that were actually listening to me coming from? And the vast majority, over 90 some odd percent, are coming from the United States. Thanks, y'all. And I was also tripped out that I'm called TNFro was reading, but nobody in Tennessee was listening to me until recently, with my biggest listeners still in North Carolina. But I have a goal of maybe someone in at least one person, it would be great, in each of the 50 states. If they would just tune into me, that would make me ecstatic. But I also have listeners in Canada now. Big ups to Canada, in Quebec and Ontario. I did not know that. Still no one has listened to me in Australia, and I think because I post at weird times and they are in a completely different time zone. But I was also shocked that people in the Netherlands, in Norway, Sweden, the United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia. I got one person in Germany. Oh my God, there is somebody that downloaded me in New Zealand. Who knew? And one person in Israel. I'm just so amazed, and I'm so grateful that people all over the world are actually are listening, and they really think I have something to say. I'm noticing that the episodes that mention, of course, Star Trek, I guess because Trekkies are all over the world, those are the episodes um, that seem to speak to people and have been downloaded the most. But I'm also finding that um, I'm hopeful that, especially in the United States, that people here will take a gander at my political rants, multiple episodes, and they will actually glean something from it too. But the idea that I'm actually saying something that people actually want to listen to and that want to hear, that just blows me away. And that's why I am grateful that to be able to use this platform to be able to provide information to people that want to hear it actually just makes me proud. And I did not know until recently that this platform and this ability for me to actually create this content actually was available to someone like me. And for that, I'm just completely grateful for it. And that's why I like to, because I'm also numbers nerd to a certain extent, especially if the numbers make sense and they're really easy to understand. Um, that's why I will continue to include uh, where my listeners hail from as part of my episodes, because that's what it's all about, creating content that's informative, and that people actually want to listen to. And besides the United States, I had no idea that people as far away as freaking New Zealand are listening to me, because I guess if you are rocking it in New Zealand, um, you can actually say that you actually have made it, because I don't know. And also, I'm hopeful that even in spite of my focus on the 2020 elections, people as far away as Saudi Arabia and New Zealand and Israel, they will tune back into me uh, as I get over my rant, because I want to tell them more about what I'm writing, in general, my Star Trek fan fiction, as well as my rewrite for Not My Family. In all honesty, I'm actually going to be working on the last chapter of that, probably today and tomorrow. And I'm hopeful that people will tune back in to be able to listen to the excerpt as and when I actually read from that, and they're not distracted by me talking about the 2020 American elections. And I am finding that initially I wasn't going to vote, just like I wasn't really necessarily going to post today, but I had a conversation by text with a friend of mine, and she asked me, was I going to vote this Tuesday, Super Tuesday? And I was like, well, I don't know. So then I changed my mind. And then I thought I needed to prepare and become more knowledgeable with the candidates, a little bit more than I actually have been, because I still don't know who I wanted to vote for. All this week, the candidates have been, last push in South Carolina. In fact, the South Carolina went to the polls today. They were talking about Bernie Sanders' surge, as well as the Joe Biden losing his edge. And one of the things that I actually found interesting is that, and it also kind of annoyed me, was everybody's trying to, without his permission and current endorsement, everyone is trying to ride on Obama's coattails. And I knew that I needed a little bit more than his endorsement from 2016 than I did to need now, because this country is a completely different place than where we were between 2008 and 2016. It's just it's not the same. Um, what I did find out that as far as early voting in Chattanooga, the Democrats have actually shown out as of today. They are beating the Republicans almost 3 or 4 to 1 as far as voter turnout, with the biggest surge being on the 25th. But with all of those voting totals, it's still only like 17, almost 18,000 people that have actually voted early. And in a population of a couple of million, that's kind of lame, don't you think, Hamilton County? But anyways, I will be at the polls probably early Tuesday morning, so I can actually get my vote in, and then I have to get to work on Tuesday. And I'm also slacking because I could have voted early, but I didn't, and because I still have no idea who I was going to vote for. But anyways, after doing that, I actually split my time between social media and just doing general um, research in kind of getting a more clear uh, profile of all the candidates. And I've actually talked to two people today. I talked to my friend Janelle as well as my sister. And I was surprised that both of them were like, well, I think I'm going to go for Joe Biden, but I don't know. And from Janelle's standpoint, and actually from my sister Anetta's standpoint, they were like, well, I think they're in this fantasy where they are really thinking that President Obama is going to pop up like a jack-o'-lantern and say, JoJo, go sit down. I got this. He's not going to legally be able to do that, y'all. He was president for actually 2 great terms. This country actually started to represent, I believe, the ideals of the founding fathers. But that time is over. He is not coming back. So sorry. And anyone that's still thinking they're going to be able to, they're going to best represent his ideas and get this country back to where where we once were, I don't think Joe Biden may not be the one. His best job and most important and respected job when he was President Obama's vice president, but he's really good at following orders. But what is not clear is he will be able to follow good advice. Now, if he actually were to take on the presidency, it's great because Obama in himself was very pragmatic, very smart, and could process information rapidly. And he didn't say stupid-ish. I don't see Joe Biden coming up with great ideas, being able to verbalize it all into one sector, and then being able to spread the word. He doesn't strike me as that together. He strikes me as a dottery old man caught in his heyday of when he was the man, and he's just not anymore. He has done great things as far as criminal justice reform, getting background checks with the reinstated with the Brady bill, as well as the outlawing of automatic weapons. But coming up with the follow-up and the extension of those things, he has not done a great deal. I also have concerns he's only good for taking great selfies and not much else. And he keeps staying stupid-ish. I can't get over that part. Also, I give him my rant about, and as you can tell, I still have not completely counted out Joe Biden. I think as far as anyone, he would be the lesser of multiple evils. And so I did contribute to his campaign for one of the great reasons, and I'll get to those soon. But to get back to the whole point of me and voting this coming Tuesday is because there's only several states that are participating in the caucuses, and Tennessee is just one of them, as well as Virginia, Arkansas, Colorado, and Georgia, and several others. And one of the reasons why I voted or I contributed to everybody's campaign, with the exception of the billionaires and Sanders, is because people need some money in their coffers to be able to get to the end of this race. And I can't talk trash if I didn't put my money where my mouth is. So it is if it's going to be truly grassroots, and every penny's going to count, just like every vote is going to count. And that's why I voted for everyone, with the exception of who I mentioned before. And I'm going to start right up at the top. Before I get to that, I had to do also some research in what is a progressive Democrat, also what is socialism, and is there such a thing as a democratic socialist that Bernie extols himself in being. A progressive Democrat supports social reforms and they also uses how you reform society is by advancing science and technology and economic development for the masses and for the good of society. This current administration and every Republican, there is no such thing as a progressive Republican. That's a contradiction in terms, in actuality. Because everything and all the cuts and the malignment has proven that you can't have a progressive society if you have a bunch of dumbasses running it. And that's why I think it's so important that a true progressive Democrat actually needs to be in place to reverse a lot of these back steps to the 50s, because it doesn't make sense. In order for us to compete and to take care of each other and ourselves, we have to be progressive by nature. And you can't do that with a socialistic society, because the socialist puts the individual much greater than the whole. But the way that they govern is you need like an all-seeing, all-knowing governing body to keep them in line. And that doesn't make any sense to me, because what's good for me is not necessarily good for the whole. And I'm so stubborn, I'm not willing to give up my individuality for the good of everybody else, because that doesn't make sense. I do agree with societal moving on. I don't think you're going to be able to finance all of these social programs by just taking from the rich and giving to the poor, because that would be stupid. And it doesn't make sense. And that's why I can't support Bernie Sanders. There is no such thing as a socialist Democrat, because that's a contradiction in terms. It's too close to Marxism to me. And with Marxism's distinct class system, it restricts movement and upward mobility. If you're going to actually you think you actually support the individual and even distribution of wealth, but you lose your individuality to become a part of the collective. I'm too weird to be a part of any one thing. I think I fit in a lot of different things. And if I wanted to move around in my class, or I wanted to do something different, for example, I wouldn't be able to even do this podcast if we lived in a true socialist leftist society. I wouldn't have a say. And if that causes me to be dragged on Twitter, then so be it. I can turn off my comments and I can actually go on mute, just like I did for 2 years when Trump was elected. But that's just me. And the other reason why I can't support someone like Bernie Sanders is he doesn't really listen, and he reverts back to that grumpy old white dude mode. It's like, do as I say, not do as I say because I'm right. And he's so freaking condescending. When they asked them about to explain his financing for all of his social programs, he was like, you got a couple of hours? Like, we were too stupid to not know that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 50 trillion. Seriously and really, Bernie. And I really don't want a bunch of Gen Xers and millennials actually telling me what to do, because I don't trust them mofos. I think they have enough knowledge to be misled and to be dangerous. And people that support Bernie and all of those, his millennial sect, that is who they're going to lead us down over like a bunch of lemmings over the edge. And I can't support anyone like that. And I think they're wrong. And I cannot give my money or my time to his campaign. And what irks me is probably because they're more organized and they're better funded than than everyone else, he may actually truly get the nomination. And I truly think that if he does get the nomination, it is guaranteed that Trump is going to be reelected. And I honestly believe that. Bernie Sanders is Donald Trump's main weapon for reelection. And we can't do that. That is why it is so very important that we cannot allow him to get the nomination. But then I have to look to the other candidates. I was kind of looking at giving Bloomberg a really good once over. And then after the debates and some of the other information that has come up, I started to have to give him the side eye. Because even though I respect his service in the 12 years that he led New York after 9/11, there are certain things that he's not going to be able to live down. Stop and frisk, and then his support of other the other dumbasses like Lindsay and McConnell's and the likes campaign over the last 8 years or so. And also, I have noticed when I was creating all of my looking at social media profiles, the Twitter trolls are really dragging Bloomberg. They're not letting up. And I think whoever manages his social media, they should be more adept, or he should hire more people to keep an eye on his timeline to take down the particularly trolly comments and falsehoods that the trolls are actually posting on his timeline. He, as well as Tom Steyer, they need better social media managers. Buttigieg and Klobuchar are better handling it. They are just posting more positive things on their social media, probably more so than Bloomberg. And Biden, he got on my nerves. He and his wife saying, we're off into going here and there, and it's just kind of annoying. But anyways, y'all are too old for that, and it was cool when Barack Obama did it, but that was 2008, and y'all are just old and crusty white people. But anyways, getting back to Bloomberg, I'm so glad he doesn't really have to listen to anybody, and he's funding his own campaign. But I don't think the most money that he throws at this, he is not going to be able to live down, as I said, the shenanigans of his previous activities with the Republican Party and the stop and frisk and some of the other things. And he seems to also get flustered when you try to ask him things, and when you get him off or rattle him a little bit off of his talking points. His is a hill maybe too hard to mount, but I do like his empowerment of scientists, and he just wants the facts and the figures, and he makes his decision accordingly because, again, he proves that he's not a stupid man. And in fact, he may be a little bit brilliant, and he's also extremely wealthy. But again, his previous ish may preclude him from becoming the nominee in a real sense. And people do forget that he was an independent for a number of years. He didn't flip to the Republicans until he actually ran for mayor of New York. So with that, we've got, maybe if we could read between the lines, and does he deserve redemption? And out of all of them, I maybe kind of trust him more than the other candidates. And I think he's definitely smarter than Joe Biden and has more experience in Buttigieg, and maybe even more so than Tom Steyer. I'm just saying. Klobuchar, very pragmatic, has a record of getting things done. I like her take on healthcare for those that want it and the whole ACA rethink. She's done some great things with making insulin affordable for her state, but nobody likes her. And I hate the way she talks. She has that kind of Midwestern or maybe some Minnesota kind of tone. And she is just not likable. But I think she's done a lot as a senator and being the pragmatic to-do senator. Warren, she needs to stop harping on billionaires because it sounds like haterade. And she's too freaking squirrely. I wanted to, as I said, I donated to her, but you need to read and navigate to her donation site, because she has a list of people that she does not want to donate to her, like the big PACs, which I get. If you make your money in big oil, CEOs of large companies and tech companies, she doesn't want you to donate to her. Really? So don't they have more disposable income? And I know you don't want to take their donations, because you don't want them to tell you what to do, but you're basically biting the hand that could potentially support you. And the main reason why I think she's pissed off at Bloomberg, because he doesn't have to depend on people's money. And just like everybody else, they wish he would use his millions support them. But now, do you get why he would never support you? Because you say dumb ish like you just said on your donation site. You basically telling people that could potentially donate to you, don't donate to me because I don't agree with how you made your money. Girl, bye. Ain't nobody got time for that. And she's too concerned about not ticking off Bernie Sanders, but he would never show her the same respect. We've seen that in a few rants ago when he let his aides clobber her and then he wouldn't even shake her hand. What kind of bull crap is that? So, she's just too squirrely, and she's very marginalizing. Her and Klobuchar remind me a lot of Hillary Clinton. Females that they are, but they're not likable, and you got to actually genuinely like the people that you're gonna vote for. They ain't gonna vote for either one of them. And Buttigieg, he's just some smart ass white boy from the Midwest. He is, and I applaud his service in Afghanistan. I think he's either Harvard or Yale, but he has no experience on the world stage, and I'm not going to entrust our company and our country and our respectability to someone from small town Nowheresville, Midwest. I can't do that. He's actually likable and very eloquent and a very calming. That's one of the things that I actually noticed during this last debate. But he just doesn't have the experience to be able to be effective on the world stage. Steyer has been consistent in his message about protecting the environment and Trump's lack of business acumen, and that he needed to be impeached. And I found out about him in 2017. But again, besides his billions, which he has made respectfully, he also does not have what it takes in operational wise on a world stage, again, to increase the respectability and credibility of the United States. I think he jumps on buzzword bandwagon like reparations, and African Americans are supposed to fall in line. But for those of us that are thinking outside of the box, I don't think he is it for us either. However, out of the last few candidates that I actually spoke about, I would support him, and he may have a questionable chance to dump Trump if he can garner the respectability across the board of across the aisle, those moderate Republicans, and win the heart of a couple of few conservatives that were just too scared to actually take on Trump while he was in the office. What I have done is, with the exception of Bernie, I have put into the notes of the podcast hashtags to follow, and to follow their threads on social media. And granted, you're going to have to kind of weed through a bunch of nonsense, but if you follow these hashtags, Get It Done, NC for Mike, Mike Bloomberg 2020, Greenwood Initiative, Pete for America, Amy Klobuchar, President Warren, and Steyer for president, you'll actually find the candidates and what they are looking at, or what their stances are on several of the issues. I'm mainly looking for who is best suited to the progressive issues, meaning betterment of society through technology, economic advancement, and science, and not someone that's just going to bring up their boys, their girls, and any sycophants, instead of bringing forth the smartest people and people with experience, and also truly dedicated to people thinking out of the box and getting things done. Who among this group is going to be able to do that? And I'm actually still, the verdict is still out. I hope I have given you the tools to look up what these candidates, the issues that they, and how they are actually going to address all of the issues. Look past the past and seeing what they're doing now and what they have done actually gives them a, let me back up. In the law, you can actually, from what I understand, you can actually bring up a pattern of behavior. What have they done in the past? What are they still doing? To give you a pretty good idea about what they're actually going to do in the future. And if you take each one of these candidates, what they have said and done and what they've done, and that would give you a clearer, hopefully, a clearer way forward and who to actually vote for the Democratic nomination. I've given you a broad base to be able to sort through, to be able to make a decision without basically endorsing any one candidate. What my hope is for this broadcast is for you to take the time to research just like I've done and to come up with your own decision. And using technology to be able to do that is going to be key. I admonish you, and I actually stress, please go to each one of these candidates' websites. Do the math yourself. Look at what they're actually talking about as far as the true issues, from the environment to economic advancement, and how those two things are synonymous. How you can have pay your bills, do your work, make a great income, and not kill the planet at the same time. There's certain of the candidates that have a plan to be able to do that, and to be able to do that effectively for everyone, not just the upper 2%, but more broad-based, and there are going to be more opportunities for all of us to partake in the bounty that is being an American citizen. And I stress, do your own research. Don't just look at a candidate because they were the VP of Barack Obama. Who among this crew actually has the skill set, the know-how, the likability to be able to bring a progressive and make a positive effect on society? That is what I challenge you. Do the work and make the decision. This podcast is my path of entertainment and a form of therapy and an outlet for creative freedom. But if you don't have this outlet and you're struggling with depression, anxiety, or addiction, call 1-800-273-8255. It's available 24 hours a day, every day. And there's also an on-site chat feature at suicidepreventionlifeline.org/chat/. If vodka is your problem, call 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-4357. Then there's also apps like Talkspace and Doctor on Demand that will actually be able to help you right where you are in the privacy of your car at a fraction of the cost of conventional therapy. It's okay not to be okay, and it's definitely okay to ask for help. Please navigate to www.Dale's Angels Inc. for all special offers and updates on nerd news, as well as You can drop me a line at TennesseeFroisReading@gmail.com or even leave me a 2-minute non-trolling message at 423-463-0658. All non-trolling messages may actually be read or played during the podcast. If you like what you're hearing and you want to support continued great content, please become a patron at podbean.com/thetalkingfro or put 5 on it and leave me a tip at paypal.me/Felicia DAI. And I hope you have enjoyed this podcast as much as I have enjoyed creating.